Oh, the joy of doing live recording when you sit and record what you say while you record, only to realize after you've done all your recording that your microphone was muted. Lovely. Anyway, we are moving over to the island of the Maker,
Welcome.
where we will be
I know much
discovering
about the
what
river's black
is going on,
waters.
because
I
we
know
have
some.
the potential of getting some allies here, but we will have to find out more details about what that means. So just scouting the island around a bit and then bump into a group of not hostile burgers, I think they're called, who we will go and speak to. There is a merchant I discovered, and I just want to scout around a bit first. But when you see merchant, you shopping potential, which of course is always nice, and get stuck on the wrong side of the merchant, of course, because that
Well met.
is very skillful. He hasn't seen a surface for many a year, but he's quite happy to do some trading. But it is not entirely beneficial for us. It is more of a drop-off point than anything else, because he hasn't got anything super interesting in his stock. Considering the fact that he's supposed to be the supply guy for the expedition, it is a bit meager, his selection. But at least we get to sell an awful lot of crap, which of course is always beneficial. Basically anything that's not a straight upgrade for our character is going to be sold, because it is a very limited use. Just checking to see what he's got, and as I said, not exactly amazing. But he's got a bag of holding, which of course is always nice. You can never have too many bags of holding, especially not when you lost 6 in the transfer. Well, you lost 5 actually. We got 1, and we had 6. There's no real reason to run around with that belt either, so just selling it. That is the mirror we were gathering in the last part, on the last island, or previous island, which will come in use much later. Not much later, but somewhat later. Anyway, there's a named NPC that we should probably go and speak to.
Yes. Not many come to this island.
She's a bit
especially not
tense
surfacer
and
like
expected
you.
we could be
What are you
potentially
doing
hostile, but
here?
we,
Have you come
of
as
course,
friend or foe?
let her know that we are not here on any nasty intention. We will just want to explore the Maker's dungeon thing in order to look for some allies, and then she talks to us about the fact that they are scavengers and they live off scavenging parts of golems and that kind of stuff. But in the dungeon we are about to enter, there are some there's a specific golem that goes around and restores the golems that they defeat, meaning that of course they have to fight them over and over again, and they've lost quite a few men is such a bad word when they're dwarves, I suppose, but you know what I mean. They have lost quite a few team members to exploring that place. So she gives us a fair warning about the fact that if we fight something in there, be mindful that it might be restored. But all in all, seems friendly enough. So just asking multiple questions as per usual, just in case it causes an update to the journal. It's not necessarily because I potentially need or want that information, but it's just in case there's a journal update. The maker apparently was an individual who was trying to perfect the building of golems. Because of course normally golems are automations, or I should say, but they have directives when they're being crafted. They are crafted with a set of directives that whoever made them can direct them to do different things, usually guard duty and that kind of stuff. But he tried to take it one step further, and we'll have to find out whether he succeeded or not. It's labeled as a dungeon, which is always promising, I suppose. But just scouting around in case there was something else to find, which there doesn't seem to be. By the way, as someone may or may not have gathered, I know this character started a few levels higher in Neverwinter Nights. Effectively 2 levels higher than he would have at the point in the game. But by this point, any character would have caught up to this level, because you probably noticed that the game tends to throw quite a bit of experience at our character. So, we are now in the first or on the first floor of the dungeon, and there's a locked door which we can't break down. Basically a what's it called? A plot door. If you don't find the proper key or find the proper password or activation or lever or whatever it might be, you cannot open it. But scouting around, we discover that there are some golems being flattened, but they still got their bodies lying around, and you will soon discover that there is this automation that will run around, resurrecting them, restoring them, whatever you call them. And that's why they leave their bodies behind. Different potions to get, and some blue powder. I picked it up just in case it turned out to be of importance. It does say it's an alchemical component, and I was about to discard it, but I would rather say leave it behind. But of course, it turns out that my assumption was correct. And as you can see, this one's just been restored, so we get to find it. But that's of course just means more experience. So what we're going to do is we're going to explore the entire level here and fight enemies as we go along, gaining experience in the process. And these guys are no threat anymore, because of course they cannot affect us with their confusion thing. I think it's the stun actually, but of course our monk is immune to mind affecting spells, so they are a formality. And of course with our monks, a very obscene armor class for an unarmored individual, they have a hard time hitting us. This could be interesting. The different words correspond to a different number, and it is important for something which I honestly can't remember, but I'm fairly sure it is the key to opening that door we couldn't open earlier. And we get some lab notes describing how to craft 3 different items. A golem crusher, which will do damage to golems. I keep calling them golems, whatever. A golem attractor, which you can drop in order to attract the attention of golems. And a golem binder, which you can use to temporarily slow golems. All of them are nice things to make, and we will be making them, but for all intents and purposes, our monk is powerful enough to just fight the bloody things. I don't really need to use any doohickey things in order to deal with the golems. That was one of the components we need for crafting these items. So we will need to find some 3 different items and some powders, and then a chemical table. By the way, that reload was because I was trying something and decided not to try it anyway. It was just experimenting. This unit over here is a piece of armor and a helmet. But you can see the entire center bit is trapped, and it will trigger a blade barrier that will go around the outer edge and then poison the entire room. But we're not overly concerned about the poison, because we are immune to poison, and of course the blade barrier because of our relatively high reflex signature. We can usually avoid it, but we found a lever that is apparently hidden, and that disarmed the traps in the room. So now we can go in and click on this and get a helm and armor. Obviously, not particularly useful to us, because of course we are an unarmored class, but it is interesting to observe that they seem to be named the same. Obviously, one is a helmet, the other is a piece of armor, but you gotta wonder whether they are in some way, shape or form connected, related. But ultimately it is quite useless to us, so in the back of holding they go, and then scout around to see if we can find something else. Oh, what a shame. Another golem. These are worth 350 experience. I'm not entirely sure why, but I'll take it. And of course, some more ones. Main reason I picked them up is because just in case they have some use, but of course you can't use the wonders on monk, so probably not even worth to bother picking them up. So just double checking the recipe for one of the items. This one requires the mithril statue and 2 blue powders, and poof. It costs 1 charge to use, and the item comes with 10 charges, so just in case, you know, we would need it, I decided to hotkey it, so to speak. But we'll see. I have great faith in my monk's ability to punch things, so I don't know how useful it will turn out to be. But I've made it. Didn't get anything for doing it beyond the item itself, but I suppose, I mean, it's worth remembering that not everyone playing this game would necessarily play a monk, and my experience of the monk so far, it's not a necessarily super powerful class, but it's definitely capable of holding its own. And anyone who's been watching this will probably agree. I decided to make a note of this just in case we need to come back to it. It's so nice that you can make your own map pins and then scout around to see if there's more loot to be had. Some more random traps, some more random golems, or whatever else they might be, and just beat them about, smack them about, all that stuff. And that's the way to progress. So we are not quite done here yet, so let's keep moving on. And here's the restore guy, who walks around and restores the golems. You could technically, if you wanted to, run around and let him restore golems left, right and center. And keep beating them down, because apparently you get experience for defeating them again. But I think it's inappropriate to do. I don't need to do it. So my intention is to just progress through the dungeon level and do what I need to do and be done with it. But that is an option. If you want to grind some experience, this is one place you could do so. Obviously, as you gain levels, you'll get less experience for defeating the enemies, so it will only be of limited value after a while, but small loot. Don't really care about potion. I was hoping there was really some sort of information, but this thingy is a control room kind of thing, and it has 2 activation points on a main console, and it's interesting to see that those are actually numbers, and if the code is not correct, you will get sapped. So we have that lexicana thing that gives us the translation of certain numbers, but we haven't got anything that relates to what numbers we could be needing. So no clue as of yet. Hopefully we will come across something that gives some sort of indication of what potential numbers we could use in order to activate something of some description. But we still got more to explore. And more to fight. The thing is, I mean, golems are golems. They are constructs. They hit like trucks. They're immune to most things. Golems were definitely changed between Dungeons and Dragons updates. As far as I know, the Iron Golem, which in Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, if you hit it with fire, will you actually heal it? I don't know whether that's still the case. I can't remember last time I played a caster in this game, so I can't remember whether I tried to fireball an Iron Golem to see if it got healed, but an Iron Golem in 2nd edition would be slowed by lightning and healed by fire. So basically most of them are not very smart to use magic against, but another armor. A dagger. There's various different items, and I didn't necessarily want to pick them all up. I was looking at the dwarven war axe just in case, because of course I had a bad experience with not picking up an axe that had some importance in the original game. But it turns out to be of no use whatsoever, so I will be dropping it again. Just checking. Just rubbish. But there's a helmet somewhere. Again, just making. Oh, you got the helmet already. You can see that's another item which has the same name as the armor, which is somewhat interesting. It is likely the name of an adventurer that got smacked about by golems. Well, we are not getting smacked about by the golems, we are smacking golems about. At this point I was making some sort of comment about the idea of punching a stone or iron statue thing. But that's why adventurers are adventurers, because they are special. Some more powders. Lovely. We need them to create the remaining golem affecting items. And that seems to be another alchemical lab. But it's hard to get the game to allow you to do certain things when you are being affected by different traps, so I'm just going to wait them out. This shouldn't take too long. Just sorting out the inventory while waiting, having a look at what we need to use in order to craft the remaining 2 items. Some blue powder there. I hate a messy inventory, by the way. Doesn't matter what game I play, I really hate when my inventory is a mess. So, that's a blue and a yellow powder. And a red powder. Hey! Just making sure we haven't got any other powders. Then, carrying on. More stuff to meet, more stuff to beat. We'll do it all. Notice, by the way, that there's an awful lot of these, which of course, constructs and undeads and things like that, are immune to critical hits. So classes which are relying heavily on scoring critical hits in order to do the majority of that damage get absolutely hampered in this expansion, because you'll be facing an awful lot of enemies which are immune to critical hits of some description. And that's another strength point of the monk, because of course our fists are doing 1d20 damage. So our base damage, non-critical damage, is very, very high, which ultimately means that we have an easier time defeating monstrosities like this, because we are not relying on crits that we can't trigger. By the way, the 2 books we found were identical to the 2 books you already have. So, just rechecking the recipe yet again. Always reread recipes, I can highly recommend, especially if you're cooking. It's nothing worse than reading a recipe and then realize you've missed something, and then the dish tastes very different from what you wanted it to. So let's craft another item, shall we? Ta-da! Again, another golem affecting a golem. dragon golem effecting item with 10 charges, and certain other classes will probably be happy to have it, but for my monk, or for the monk, our monk, whatever you call it, it's just a formality. Why slow them and stun them when you can just punch them? What's more effective? That's the magical crystal we need for the golem attractor. Which is not a usable item, you will have to put it down in order for it to attract the golems, but again, why not just smash the golems instead? Much better. Much more fun. But we're still short of one powder, on one powder. We are one powder short. I think that is the term for it. Didn't seem to be able to find anything else we haven't explored. So, just going around double checking, because we are one powder short. Aha! That is a weapon that's meant specifically to do damage to constructs, high damage to constructs. But we are good. We just punch them. Standing in double traps while we do so, it's perfectly fine. So this is the final room on this floor that we haven't explored, so I assume that the final powder we need will be found in this room. It would be sad if we couldn't find the items we need in order to craft the objects, so I assume that the game has taken that into consideration. So, go looking for the chest, and there is the final powder we need. So I'm going to end this part here, and when we come back we're going to craft the remaining items we need to craft, and then go down to the next level and see what it yields of interest things. Thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.